Before we get started, I'm going to go over the 3 requirements your team needs if you want to even think about going Pyro. If your team doesn't have all of these requirements met, don't go Pyro. No, seriously, don't. First of all, you must be on blue team. You heard right. Don't question this. It's just the way it is. Your team must have also exactly 3 engineers, 4 medics, 0 spies, and 1 soldier wearing a vintage level 34 Tyrant's helm. A genuine Tyrant's helm won't cut it, in case you're wondering. Lastly, your team can't already have a Pyro. Having 2 Pyros on a team is only comparable to pushing the current high tower.
Guys, don't cap.
It's a deadly sin that will punch your one-way ticket to hell.
Yeah, he capped. That's it.
If your team somehow meets the requirements, and you chose to go Pyro, then congratulations, you've automatically won. Go ahead and throw the GGs in all chat. It never hurts to give them an early heads up. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into our guide, shall we? The first thing we'll go over is spy checking. For some weird reason, the TF2 gods bless Pyro as the designated spy checker, but there's really not a point to that. Everyone knows spies are totally useless, so spy checking is totally optional. If you do decide to waste your time, however, spy checking is pretty easy. What you want to do is you want to hold down left click and spin in a circle. That's pretty much it. Another one of Pyro's roles is to extinguish allies. When you extinguish them, they'll think you're nice and all, but let me tell you the real reason why you should airblast your teammates. Take a good look at how many kills I have. Now, compare that to my score. Do you see this? Right-clicking a player on fire is single-handedly the easiest way to get points in the game. And it requires a minimum of 20 IQ points to do so. Not only will your team thank you for saving their lives, they'll also get fooled into thinking you're an actual good player. That's not the only thing airblasting can do though. You can also airblast projectiles right back to your opponent's face. People always complain about the quote W plus M1 players who hold left click and run forward, but no one ever seems to complain about the W plus M2 players. It requires the same amount of skill, but it does make you look cooler. When you see an enemy soldier in Demo Man, what you want to do is right click randomly. If you get lucky somehow, you'll be rewarded with a cool noise and death animation. You can see this knowledge being applied here. This Demo Man is simply outplayed by my lightning fast reaction time. Now that I've taught you about how to play Pyro, let's go into some of the loadouts. There are 3 different loadouts to choose for on Pyro, so let's start with the most common and overused one, the Puff and Sting. I could go more in depth on this, but I'll just tell you in a nutshell what to do. Step 1. Hold left click for 0.698 seconds. Step 2. Press right click for 0.134 seconds. Step 3. Press Q/2/scroll wheel down/scroll wheel up twice to switch to your flare gun/reserve shooter/shotgun. And step 4. Left click again to kill them. Whenever you see a Pyro with the degreaser, just type kill in console as fast as possible. That way, they won't get credit for the kill. Another common loadout is the free-to-play loadout. This loadout requires some extra materials though, so keep that in mind. Those materials consist of the gibbous, the power vision goggles, and the phlogistonator. A mercenary badge is also a good choice, but it's optional. You literally don't even need a secondary or melee, because you're just gonna burn them to death all day. 1v5 the entire team until you have approximately 15-25 health. When you're that low, right click. Now, do the whole thing over again. You can't airblast with the flood however, so you won't look as MLG. You may also be referred to as, but not limited to, noob, nub, newbie, nubby, newbie, or hacker. The final loadout is the Backburner Pyro. Actually, Now that I think about it, this loadout is actually one of the best. December 15th, 2011. The day the Phlogistonator was released. I recall this day all too well. It was the day my beloved backburner passed. The one true friend I had in this game. The weapon I considered buying to become premium. God. God! Anyway, before the inception of the Phlogistonator, the backburner pyro was considered the no-skill loadout. You essentially had to act like a cloakless spy. You had to try to sneak behind someone, and if you did, they were dead. The only difference was, if your trapper was blown, you could just apply my spot checking strategy. One last thing. Remember how I said you could only have one pyro per team? This is an extremely important rule, so do anything in your power to enforce it. What?